Hello! Today, we will learn about environmental hazards, and our focus is on flooding. This is the last of a two-part lesson, and at the end, you should be able to state the causes of flooding, describe how flooding can be prevented, discuss the effects of flooding, and describe different types of drainage patterns. Let's begin. In simple terms, flooding can be defined as an overflowing of water onto land that is normally dry. Floods can happen during heavy rainfalls, overflowing of water bodies such as rivers, or when dams break. Flooding may happen with only a few inches of water, or it may cover a house to the rooftop. Floods may happen through natural occurrences or due to human activities, and some of these causes include the following. 1. Deforestation. When large areas of forest near the rivers are cleared to be used for construction or agricultural purposes, less vegetation protects the soil, and the soil is quickly lost to rivers and seas. This raises the riverbed, so the river overflows its bank easily, and then flooding occurs. 2. Poor water management. When dams are poorly constructed or maintained, they can easily collapse, and this results in flooding. Also, flooding can happen when construction is done without drainages or poorly constructed drainages, especially in coastal areas. 3. Population pressure. Due to the increase in human population, more food, shelter, and so on are needed, thereby leading to the overuse of land, which leads to erosion and increases the risk of flooding. 4. Amount of rainfall. The amount and intensity of rainfall determine the amount of runoff on the land, which consequently determines the amount of water available for flooding to occur. 5. Proximity to a water body. When the level of water rises above the bank of the sea or river, flooding occurs in areas close to the sea or river. And lastly, 6. The type and condition of the soil. Flooding occurs every year in Nigeria during seasons with higher rainfall. Coastal areas and areas close to dams are more prone to flooding. Flooding has adverse effects on our lives and environment. Some of these effects include loss of human life through drowning and illnesses, damage to personal and public property such as homes, roads, power plants, deterioration of health conditions owing to waterborne diseases, disruption of economic activities which will lead to loss of livelihood, reduction in purchasing power and loss of land value in the floodplains can leave communities economically vulnerable. Floods can also cause trauma to its victims and their families for long periods of time. Widespread damage to crops and fencing, loss of livestock, waterlogged soils. Food prices increase due to shortage in supply and logistics affected due to flooded roads. Now that we have seen that flooding can be caused by human activities, this means that we can do well by preventing flooding because its effects are dire. Here are some ways through which we can do that? 1. Construction of dams to take excess water that may lead to flooding. 2. Construction of reservoirs that will hold excess water, which can be used for other purposes. 3. Clearing drainages of waste that can prevent free flow of water. 4. Prevention of construction of structures along rivers, sea banks, and areas that prevent the free flow of water. 5. Having adequate and proper town planning, which will bring about construction of adequate drainage systems. So far, we have identified different measures of ensuring the prevention of flooding, but one method really stood out. Can you guess what it is? Yes, drainages. A drainage is the process by which water or liquid waste is emptied from an area. There are 2 types of drainage patterns. 1. The surface drainage system, which is found in rural areas and is not designed by qualified engineers. The drainage is exposed and water can easily overflow the drainage and flood the area. And 2. The subsurface drainage system, which is covered with concrete while water flows underground, thereby preventing overflow of the boundaries. It is designed by qualified engineers. This type of drainage is usually found in cities, and examples include gutters. And with that, we have come to the end of this lesson. Today, we have learned about flooding, the causes, how to prevent flooding, and drainage patterns. Hope you learned something new today. See you in the next lesson.